Are you an experienced real estate investor? Do you have some flips or some rentals, but you kind of are feeling stuck? You can't really seem to scale your real estate investing to really achieve the financial goals you want. And could it be that you're using your own money, right? And have you considered raising other money from other people, right? This is what Robert Kiyosaki talks about in his book, Rich Dad, Poor Dad, OPM, right? And so a lot of people don't. They're so stuck in, I'm going to save money to buy this rental. I'm going to use a HELOC, okay? But why, right? Why when you can use money? And there's people who raise millions of dollars to buy real estate. If you want to know more about that, that's exactly what I want to talk about in this video, so stay tuned. Hey, my name is Michael Blanc, and how people become financially free with real estate. So I felt stuck as well. My background is I flipped a bunch of houses, 3 dozen houses, and I had a few rentals as well, and woke up one day and I was like, man, this house flipping thing isn't very passive. It's also a lot of work, but it's not very passive because if I'm not buying, fixing, selling houses, I'm not making money. And once I sell it, the money stops flowing. That's not really passive income. Then I thought, well, why don't I build a portfolio of rental properties? If I can make each property cash flow $200 per month, wait a minute, I would need 50 houses to make $10,000 per month. Like I would need a humongous rental portfolio, which brought together whole just overwhelming thoughts about managing all that stuff and financing the whole thing. What a nightmare. And so I just didn't even know how I could buy it all, right? Because I can't use hard money anymore for these rentals. There's a limit for how many residential properties you can buy with loans. Some banks, typically the max is 10, most is more like 4 or 5. So how can I actually get into this stuff? And then I discovered the secret when I finally pivoted into multifamily in the world of syndications is other people's money. And that's what we're talking about here. But in general, the bigger mindset I want to kind of talk about here is this idea of who, not how. It's a book by Dan Sullivan. I've been talking a lot about lately because it talks about not asking how questions. How do I do something? How do I raise money? How do I do this thing? But instead asking who can help me raise money? Who can do these things for me? And so the other people's money, raising money from other people is a department of that mindset. It's, well, if I don't have the money, how do I raise money? Who has the money? Okay, so this mindset when I couch this other people's money thing underneath that. And so once you adopt that, everything else changes because now it opens up various different things that weren't even on the table before. For example, building a team around you when you don't have an apartment building track record so brokers take you seriously. That is an example of who, not how, right? Have you thought about that as well? But I want to talk to you about raising money because a lot of people I speak to, it's not even on the table. They're like, oh my gosh, maybe they heard of it, okay, but they would never consider it. Why go to your friends and family and beg them for money, right? That's ridiculous. And the power of OPM is just amazing. And like, for example, in 2018, we did this 46 unit deal in Birmingham. This will give you an example of the power of joint venturing and building a team and using other people's resources, okay? 2018, and it was a $1.7 million deal, pretty sizable for me. We had to raise $650,000, which was a lot, but I felt pretty good about it because I started the podcast in 2014 and was around, had a name, had a little bit of an email list, and I barely raised a $650,000. Like I felt like an utter failure to pull that thing off when I think I could. And then after that, literally the year later, I learned about this idea of building teams around you, of joint venturing. Again, this who, not how mentality. And I learned that there are things called capital raisers out there. It's not just limited partners and people who have money. Yeah, that's fine. But there's even something bigger beyond that. There's people who have access to capital. They're called capital raisers or fund managers. They're all over the place, right? And they bring their investors into a general partnership, and then they become a general partnership in turn in some cases, or a fund manager to get preferred returns for their fund. The point is this. There are people out there that want to get into the multifamily syndication space, but they don't want to be deal finders or operators. They want to be capital raisers. They're out there. In fact, in our environment, our ecosystem, it's almost like a 50-50 split. It's wild, right? So if you're out there looking for a deal, you're like, how do I get $1 million, right? There's going to be someone out there who's got $1 million and like, how am I going to get a deal? That's what happened. And a year later in 2019, we raised $3.2 million with joint venture partners. And we bought a 224 unit in Memphis that was worth $9 million. Only because I finally was starting to understand this who, not how mentality. And this is the same thing for you, right? So if you're struggling with scaling your single family house portfolio, okay, then think who, not how. Who can help me get access to these resources I don't have? Who can give me access to money? Who can give me access to experience? Who can give me access to SEC law? Who can give me access to XYZ, construction know-how, whatever it is, right? It's really putting the team together, and money is a part of that team. So what I'm telling you right now, if you kind of feel stuck in your single family house investing world, which you probably are because I was, this is the answer. Who, not how is the answer. Specifically, the vehicle for that is Apartments 101. This Apartments, I'm getting ahead of myself here, is Apartments because this really embodies the who, not how, the team building, and you're doing about the same amount of work that you would on a rental property or implementing the BRRRR method. You're just doing it at a higher level with a team of professionals. So if you're curious about this and you want to learn more about this, then we will, in fact, get to Apartments 101 because it's a free course I created specifically for experienced investors who have done a flip or a rental and who are looking to scale up, and maybe they're a little afraid or don't know much about apartments. This is going to be perfect for you to check it out. I think it's really going to open up your mind, the possibilities, and allow you finally to scale your real estate investment.